Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Latia Lexi. Hope everyone's doing well and had a good week this week. So this video is a different type of video this week, and in this video I'm going to be explaining what it's like having sickle cell, living with sickle cell, and my experiences. So let's just get straight into it. Okay, so before we get started, I just want to do a little disclaimer and say that obviously I am not, a professional. I'm not a nurse, I'm not a doctor. So anything that I do say, I'm just saying from my personal experiences with living with sickle cell. If you do have sickle cell and you're watching this, obviously do not get offended by anything I am saying. I'm literally just talking about my personal life living with sickle cell. At first I was a bit hesitant in doing this video, but then I've become really excited to do this video because it's not something that I have to plan or I have to think about what am I going to say next, because everything I'm talking about is literally my experiences. I don't have to think too hard on what I'm going to say next. For those of you who don't know what sickle cell is a blood disorder, so you can't catch sickle cell. Sickle cell is not contagious. It's a condition that is inherited from your parents. So for example, my mum has the trait of sickle cell and my dad has the trait of sickle cell, and obviously they have me, and then I've now got sickle cell SS. So there is different variants of sickle cell. SS is the more severe type of sickle cell, which is what I've got. Basically how you get sickle cell. And then in terms of what sickle cell is, my blood cells, like normal blood cells, are a round shape, but my blood cells are half moon shape. So that means that I get less oxygen flowing around my body. Sometimes if they can get stuck together, they cause a crisis. So a crisis is the medical terminology of basically just excruciating pain. So when my blood cells get stuck together, obviously they get stuck in the blood vessels and it prevents the blood from flowing. I was first diagnosed with sickle cell when I was 3 months old. My mum didn't know that she had sickle cell trait, and my dad didn't know that they had sickle cell trait until they had me. I don't want to make this video too long, but I feel like I have so much to say. I think a lot of people don't know that I actually have sickle cell, so you're probably going to be shocked watching this video because this is something very personal to me. I show you what I want to show you, but there's also another side to my life that I don't really show that much on social media, and that is having sickle cell. So as the title of this video is, my life is not all glitz and glams. And getting dressed up, makeup, hair, but that's just the part of my life that I like to show, and that's the part of my life that obviously makes me happy, what I enjoy doing, etc. But however, your girl has been through it. But I think this video is really important for me to do in terms of awareness as well, so people can learn about sickle cell, and just obviously I'm explaining about my personal life experiences as well. Where do I begin? Growing up, I was frequently in hospital. I was in and out of hospital all the time. I actually used to call the hospital my second home because I used to have a lot of frequent crisis. For me personally, what triggers a crisis is cold weather. So especially in the winter times, it will trigger it. If I get dehydrated, that can cause a crisis. If I get stressed out, that can cause a crisis. Crisis can literally just come on like that. It's so unpredictable. I can be here speaking to you right now, and then in 10 minutes time I can get a crisis. That's how unpredictable it is. And obviously it was hard. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna say that it was easy, because it wasn't. Luckily I've always had a very, very supportive family who I'm just so thankful for. My family didn't know what sickle cell was until I came into this world, and they managed to educate themselves really well on it. My childhood was very different in terms of a lot of things I wasn't able to do. I missed a lot of primary school, which obviously then affected my education. So it used to be a thing where I was like, oh my god, am I going to make it to high school? Am I going to be able to do my SATs, to then get into a good high school, to do my GCSEs, to then go uni, etc. So there is that side of things where it could be very worrying. Obviously if you're missing a lot of school, you're missing out on a lot of your education. Primary school, they take you swimming. Is it primary school? They take you swimming in primary school? Or is that high school? Anyway, definitely limitations with having sickle cell. So like swimming classes, for example, and I couldn't go because obviously the temperature of the water would be too cold for me, and I'll get a crisis. So when my whole class is now going swimming lessons, I'm having to stay back in school, which could obviously like affect me mentally. I could be thinking, oh, why me? Like, it's unfair, especially as a young child as well, when all your friends and stuff are talking about, oh yeah, they did this in swimming, and I'm just there like but you learn to deal with it. Like, I wouldn't say you learn to know that you're different, because I'm not different, trust me. Yeah, so yeah, no, I would never say like different, but you just have to know your limitations. You obviously have to know what you can do, what you can't do. You do have to remember, okay, like others might be able to do this and I can't do this, but you can still live your life. So I just want to cover like certain topics. Sickle cell is obviously a rare disease, like not a lot of people have it or suffer from it. So a lot of people do not know what it is. So when it comes to employment, for example, luckily I've always been very lucky when it comes to employment and working. I've always been in jobs where they've been very understanding. Obviously I need to take time off work when I have hospital appointments. I'm not able to go to work, or I'm not able to work because I'm having a crisis. Obviously there is certain laws where the work do have to abide by it, because they can't discriminate you, but you can get some workplaces where they can have an attitude, and it's like, oh, well, can't you just take a paracetamol, and can't you just come in? And knowledgeable about my rights as well. So yeah, luckily I've never experienced that, but as I said, a lot of people do not know what sickle cell is. So when you do go to a workplace and you say, I've got sickle cell, it's always like, oh, like, what's that? I've never heard of that before. And you're having to constantly explain yourself. And it can get frustrating, it can get annoying, but at the same time, it's just something you learn to cope with and you learn to deal with. I've been lucky in terms of I've always worked a Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, etc. Sometimes I even used to work 6 days a week, but there's other people out there who suffer from sickle cell and they're not able to do that because their body just don't allow them to do that. For example, I'm back into the office now and I work in central London. So I literally have to wake up at 6 AM in the morning, I have to get a bus and 2 trains there, and then it's also about a 20-minute walk. And it is a lot on my body. Like, to other people, it's just a journey. But to me, it's a lot on my body. And then to do a 9 to 5 and then do that journey back home again, by the time I get home, I'm flat out. And like, as I said to other people, it's just like normal every day. But for me, it's a lot on my body. But that's the steps that I'm willing to take to live a normal life. Because if you don't suffer from sickle cell, sometimes it's very hard for you to understand or for you to relate. For me, having sickle cell, it makes me extremely lethargic and I constantly always feel tired. And it can get annoying because other people might see it like, you haven't done anything today, like, why are you tired? When you don't suffer from sickle cell, it's very hard to actually relate and actually understand. Very, very strong-minded. A lot of things do not affect me because I know who I am as a person. For me, I strongly believe that God wouldn't have given me sickle cell if he didn't think that I can handle it. He clearly thinks that I'm mentally and physically strong enough for me to deal with sickle cell, and that is why I have sickle cell. I've never really had the attitude like, oh, why me? Because I strongly believe that if I didn't have sickle cell, I probably wouldn't be the person I am today. Then I see life like differently. I'm very grateful. I never take life for granted. But I can honestly say, I'm not gonna say that I'm happy that I have sickle cell, but I still wouldn't change my life for anything. Being in a relationship and having sickle cell, it can be very challenging. Obviously, if you're with a partner who doesn't really understand sickle cell as well. I've had an experience where I was in a relationship with someone and they weren't supportive at all. Anytime I was in hospital, they never came to visit me, never be present, be there, and they never really wanted to know about it. And for me, that's just a big red flag. Important as well to educate your partner on what sickle cell is as well, because risk as well that if, for example, I have sickle cell SS, so if I was with a partner who had sickle cell ST, the trait, then there is obviously a high risk that we could have children that do have sickle cell. And there is actually a lot of people out there who have sickle cell trait and just don't know. If you have sickle cell trait, it doesn't affect you. So there's a lot of people out there who have sickle cell trait and actually don't know. There is the risk of obviously running into someone, you know, you have a relationship with them, you fall in love, and then later down the line you find out that they have the sickle cell trait. My friends have always been there for me. My friends have always come to visit me in hospital, bought me food in hospital, always like made sure I'm okay. And that's from very young. In primary school, when outside was cold, my mum used to always ask them if I can stay indoors, and then my best friend would actually stay indoors with me. And then obviously going into high school as well, obviously high school was a bit different. Obviously you do get some people who, you know, could be a bit, oh well, you have sickle cell, you sickle cell girl, this, that. But as I said, like, I don't let those things affect me. People who are like that are obviously uneducated. Even though I do have sickle cell, I do live a normal life. I live my best life. I still go on holidays, I go out with my friends, I, you know, drink. Not saying that you should drink, but yeah, every other 25-year-old out there. As I said, you just always have to know your limitations. Obviously, for example, I'm going on holiday soon, so I have to sort out travel insurance, and trying to get travel insurance when you have sickle cell is expensive. The cheapest travel insurance I could find was like £120, whereas like my boyfriend is like, oh, my travel insurance is like £2, and it's like, oh, that's great, isn't it? But it's just these extra steps that you always have to take. Obviously, when I'm going on holiday, I have to take my medication with me, so then I have to take extra documents. So there is obviously extra steps that you have to take. I still do all the things that I've wanted to do. As I said in previous videos, obviously I used to dance, and dancing actually helped my sickle cell a lot, and being active helped me a lot. That's why I used to go to the gym very often. I haven't in ages. Certain people that I know with sickle cell who are not able to go to the gym because they'll get a crisis, or they get out of breath, they get dehydrated, etc. But I'm able to manage that, and I'm like, obviously when I go to the gym I can't be doing no madness. There's obviously certain things that I can't do, but that's okay. Like, not everyone can do everything. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's okay. Everyone has their own coping mechanism. My coping mechanism is anytime I'm having a crisis, I don't really dwell on it. I don't really think about it. I take my mind elsewhere. I take my mind to a happier place, and then I genuinely sometimes just feel much better. Sometimes it's all to do with the mindset. So if I'm just in pain and I'm just like, oh, like feeling sorry for myself, that's not going to help you at all. But if I'm in pain, you know, put on a Netflix, just flick through my camera roll, look at good times. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got to do stuff or take your mind off the pain. And growing up, I've realised that has helped me a lot. And in everything that I do, I try to bring awareness about sickle cell. So for example, my university dissertation, obviously I studied visual effects, which was animations and video editing, and we was allowed to create our own animation, and I actually created an animation about sickle cell. So my whole dissertation was around how animation can be useful in the medical industry, and I created an animation. If I'm able to, I'll post a little clip here.
Within the body. Someone that suffers from sickle cell anemia can experience excruciating pains in any part of the body. This can happen suddenly
I created an animation of what sickle cell is, so that then like people in my university can visually see what sickle cell is. And I think sometimes that's like really important, because you can explain what sickle cell is, but if you can't visualize something, it's very hard to understand. To help educate people about sickle cell, to help bring the awareness about sickle cell. I've never been embarrassed or shy. Obviously having sickle cell could be like, sometimes it could be stigmatized. People can have an opinion on you, they could look down on you, etc. But why? Obviously sickle cell only affects people from ethnic backgrounds, so it's mainly, you know, Black, African, Caribbeans, or Asian, etc. It doesn't really affect Caucasians, so that's why a lot of people are not educated about it. There is a lot of black donors that's needed. A lot of people with sickle cell have to go in frequently to hospital to have blood transfusion. I know a lot of people, like, that's their only treatment or only method they can have, is having frequent blood transfusion. Also, as I said, growing up, my family educated themselves very well on sickle cell, and to the point where my mum is actually a chair lady of a support group. So my mum helps run a support group for people with sickle cell, and like I'm a member of the support group, and being a member of the support group has obviously really helped me. I'm around other people who have sickle cell, I'm around other people who understand what I'm going through, to obviously understand, listen to people's experiences, listen to like what other treatments out there. There's no current cure for sickle cell. There's nothing that can actually cure you. I'm currently on medication, but the medication I'm on is not for sickle cell, it's actually for something else, but that's the closest type of medicine that can help me currently. Obviously they are obviously doing lots of different studies out there, lots of different tests, but because sickle cell is a rare treatment, because sickle cell is a rare disorder, there's not specific treatment out there for sickle cell. And I just wanted to cover as well, in terms of having sickle cell and, you know, COVID, with COVID-19, and obviously I come under the vulnerable category, so I was constantly getting letters through my door telling me that I need to, you know, stay in house, I need to be in lockdown, I can't go out. I was getting like food packages sent to my door from the government because they don't want me to go outside. And then in terms of when it came to the vaccine, so, you know, there was a lot of different conspiracies, a lot of different rumours about the vaccine, and it did make me very paranoid. I was very scared. I didn't know what to do. A lot of people were saying, oh, the vaccine's affecting them in this way or in that way, and I'm thinking, oh my god, I've got sickle cell now, so if I'm taking the vaccine, how is it going to affect my sickle cell? Obviously I've had various different vaccines throughout my life. There's certain vaccines that you have to take when you have sickle cell. Because this COVID vaccine was created so quickly, I was very like skeptical and very worried about taking it, so I took it upon myself to reach out to people with sickle cell, get their views and opinions, if they've had the vaccine, how did it affect them, etc. Sickle cell affects everyone, each individual very different. But my point is, I'm trying to say is, you have to do your own research. You can't just listen to people. Like, my family actually didn't want me to take the vaccine, and they were very much saying like, oh Latia, please do not take the vaccine. But I took the vaccine in the end. I'm actually double vaccinated right now, because I done my own research, and I studied it. I spoke to other people with sickle cell. There's no point me speaking to other people who don't have sickle cell, because it could affect them in a different way. Like, obviously I had friends who took the vaccine and they were like, oh yeah, it's fine, it's just a little, you know, in your arm, but obviously it could affect me differently. I could be thinking, oh yeah, if they're okay, let me take it, but then I'm the one who bloody ends up. Do you get what I mean? And make up your own mind. At the end of the day, it's your life, it's your body. You know what your body can handle. No one knows your body better than you. So yeah. And I think the last thing that I want to discuss today, obviously if anyone wants to, you know, learn more about sickle cell, wants to ask me questions, please feel free, you know, to comment below or reach out to me on Instagram. My Instagram name is Latia Alexi, saying I'm always willing to educate people about sickle cell. Again, every time I go to the hospital, they always ask me if I can speak to other young adults who suffer with sickle cell, to see if I can, like, you know, just help them with their mental health. The last thing that I wanted to cover in this video is in terms of hospitals. So it can be very difficult as well, because sometimes you do go to hospitals and there is doctors and nurses who are also not educated about sickle cell, or who have never heard about sickle cell, and sometimes that can be very worrying, because you think that you're in a hospital where you're under professional care. Me personally, when I'm in a crisis, the medication that they give me in hospital is morphine, and when I have morphine, I am high as a kite. When they give me morphine, I'm out of it. Like, I'm high as a kite. I don't know where I am. I think I'm floating on the clouds. Like, I'm literally out of it. So it is hard to like monitor and see what they're doing. So sometimes they might forget to give you your medication on time, or they might, you know, not neglect you, but they might forget that you're there. And it can get hard, because if you're screaming out in pain, they'll be like, oh, just calm down, like it can't be that bad, you're on the medication. But again, they can't relate, they don't understand. And it can be frustrating, because you're, as I said, you're in a hospital, you're in professional care, you think you're in professional care, and you know, sometimes the doctors and the nurses, they just don't understand themselves. But my point here is, even if you are in hospital and you are in pain, it can be very hard, but you still need to be on top of it. When I'm in hospital, I always make sure I write down, okay, they're giving me my medication at this time, so I need to have it again in the next 4 hours. If the 4 hours come and they don't come into the room to give me my medication, I'm buzzing, and I'll be like, it's like 4 hours now, I need my next medication. Like, you have to be on top of it, because at the end of the day, it's your life. You're the one that's feeling it, no one else. So yeah, it's very important to be on top of it. Just as well, the other day, like, I had a hospital appointment and I had a list of questions for them, and I was like, I want to know, like, the medication I'm on, is it necessary for me to be on this dose? How is it going to affect me long term? What's the plan? And the funny thing is, the questions that I had for the hematologist, who is the doctor, she couldn't answer it. But my point is that you have to be on job. Like, the same way you will be on job for any other thing, you have to be on job for your health. Like, that's so important. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I know I've been going on and I've been talking and talking. My mouth's actually dry from me talking so much. But I hope I gave you a little insight into my life, or what it's like living with sickle cell. It's not easy. I'm never going to say that it's easy, but you know, you've only got one life to live. You've only got one life to live, so you've got to enjoy life. You've got to, you know, just live your best life. Everyone goes through things in life, so there's no point feeling sorry for yourself. There's no point saying, why me? Why does this happen to me? Or again and again. Like, everyone goes through things in life, and this is just, you know, your path. So I hope you enjoyed this video. As I said, if you want to know more about sickle cell, if you want to ask me any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Bye!